this week. I hope you can see my screen.
Yes, you can see your screen.
Mm. So, since it was said that we shouldn't use JavaScript and stuff, so this is the portfolio that I submitted.
Maybe you can launch it in a browser.
Okay.
Okay.
So this is what I submitted as my portfolio website.
Good, 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 good. So you can just take us through, just give us a brief overview.
So if as you can see, this is the home page, the landing page when you visit the web browser. So this is the home page. It's a link to the home on the navbar. So it showcases my name and then the focus I'm going with and a message about what inspires me and what I am. So inspiring. So when you click this is a button, when you click it, it takes you to my projects. And then this one is for it takes you to the contact. Yes. So as you can see, this is the logo of the website, and then when you click about, it direct you to about, and then this is a brief explanation about me, and then it's a sort of a greeting, and then the content details, and then the education. It showcases you a list of what I've went through from metric to up until PLP. Oh, yeah.
Good, good,
I
good.
guess it.
Thank you.
And then the skills, it shows the skills that I possess, but these skills are software development wise, software engineering wise. So these are the languages that I know, and also this uh, framework. So the work experience also, and then of which you can just click the experience on the navbar, and then it shows you what I've been doing in the past couple of years up until date. And then
Okay.
these are the projects that are enlisted on this. So the first one is a website showcasing a recipe for making a traditional South African dombolo and beef stew. And then the other one is it's a watch. Immediately when you launch it, it sync with your GMT, and then it gives you a precise time.
Okay.
And then this is where you can contact me.
Okay.
And
Thank
then
you.
the
Thank
last,
you.
yeah. So,
Thank
but
you.
the one that I'm currently working on is this one. If I'm able to showcase it, although I haven't launched it. So this is the home page, like I made a brief explanation, and then the buttons. This one takes you to my project, this one to content, and then these are my expertise, and then about, it tells you about me, the project that I've completed and the number of years and the people that I once did some work for, and then also what pushes me to be the person that I am today. And then the skills. This is a dashboard that shows my skills, and then the skills visualized, and then yeah, then my education journey. Also on the other one, it shows the education that I acquired in the process from grade 12 up until date. And then these are the certificate that I possess. And then this is the my continuous journey that I've been following in the path of software development up until date. And then this is the professional experience that I have. Um, this is the key milestones. And then
Okay.
this is the skill evaluation. And then the languages that I know. And then projects, interests. And then these are the hobbies. And then this is how you can contact me, and then where I'm based. Yeah, I think that's that. But
Okay.
I
Thank
couldn't
you.
submit this one since it was said that strictly HTML and CSS.
Yeah. It's good to follow instructions. Thank you so much. Let me go to Emmanuel. Emmanuel, you're free to proceed, and then we'll finish up with Nixon. In the interest of time, maybe you can go
Okay,
very, very
thank you very
quickly
much.
what you have.
Yeah, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I hope you can all hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, thank you very much. So I'm just going to share my screen. Mhm. Okay, so hope you can see my screen now.
Yep.
All right. So this is my portfolio project. Um, I'm just going to utilize the README file. We have been able to do a brief summary of um, everything about the project. So the portfolio project features a fully responsive feature, and I have been able to utilize a modern UI design inspired by Meta Anchor and Micron. I just had to include their name because their portfolio was one of the great inspiration to develop in mine. And I've also included social media links and a smooth scrolling and animation to my portfolio. And also there is a contact form UI where users who visit the portfolio can be able to reach out to me, and a downloadable CV, and then just other features to showcase some of the skills I've acquired in CSS during this PLP and software engineering program. So I basically built the portfolio using HTML and CSS. I mostly made use of the Flexbox because that was the particular approach I was able to lay hands on during the time of the hackathon. I discovered that there's also another way, which is using the grid layout. Although I discovered that just after the hackathon during my study on the resources that was provided. So I also utilized a little bit of JavaScript for some reasons. I know we're limited to just HTML and CSS, but there are some click events that I hoped were activated, and I discovered I couldn't use CSS to make some of those things work. So I just had to include a little bit of JavaScript to add some more features. Then, so that is it. I'm going to open my um, portfolio project now so everyone can see. So this is a link here that takes anyone who accesses the README file to my portfolio. So I'm just going to click on it to open my portfolio. So this is what it looks like. Everyone can see it has a link to download my CV. Clicking on it will take you to my CV, so you can be able to download it. So this is my CV. I'll just close that quickly. Um, so this is Google's email app. So if you want to mail me with any of the app, you can just quickly do that. Then I've added an about me section just as required. This is just a brief about me. I wouldn't be reading all of them now. So I added an experience section to the portfolio that contains details about some of the experience I've had. It's a mixture of both the education and work experience. So you can see I added them in order from the most recent to the earliest experience I've had. Then these are the skills section. I added some effect to the hovering effect to some of these icons here. So you can see these are the skills I have. Certifications, some of the certifications I've acquired. Clicking on the view would take you to proofs of this certification. And as you can see here, I'm yet to acquire the software engineering certification by PLP Academy. So the button is disabled. Um, so this is the services section. Services I offer: website, branding, e-commerce, SEO, and the rest. There's a discover more button here, which when you click on it, it takes you to Wikipedia. Just clicking on it now to talk about more on websites, everything about websites. But this is not actually what it's supposed to. Like in my mind, I planned on developing a blog that will talk about everything I do when it comes to website development, of which I don't have that now. So I just had to attach a Wikipedia link to it, or any other link that talks more about this particular service. So this is the project I've done. This web design here, clicking on it takes you to my portfolio. That's the only web development project I've done so far. And e-commerce, yeah, clicking on e-commerce. Of course, I don't have any e-commerce project, so I just added coming soon here. And graphic design, IT support, online calculator. I have an online calculator. We had a project on Python that requires us to do um, online calculator. So I just had to replicate that using JavaScript and HTML and CSS. So I did this. So clicking on that link takes you to my online calculator. Then coding challenge, all the coding challenge I've involved in. Well, I just made this link to my GitHub repository. So clicking on it take you to my repository where you can have access to all the projects I've ever participated in. All right, so that's it. So this is the contact section where you can reach out to me. Um, Clicking on say hello pops up the form. Yeah, you can fill. This form is not really in fact. So I made this close button once it's been clicked, makes the form go away. And then this is the footer section. I have some of the links, social media links that take you to my social media page once they are clicked on. So that's it. So another thing I added on my portfolio is that clicking on this name here refreshes the homepage or takes you back to this homepage, still as this. Then the about section smooth gives you a smooth scroll to the about section, resume takes you to the resume section, services, and so on. Then in terms of responsiveness, I have made the portfolio responsive to, so I also put wider screens in mind. Let's say, for instance, the portfolio is to be projected on a bigger screen, like a projector, screens that are extremely wide. I made it such that the font doesn't go so tiny that people won't be able to view it on wider screens. So I also put that in mind. So if the screen is extremely wide like this, we have like 2116. So you see the fonts, everything is stabilized. The fonts grow with respect to the width, the display width. So that's it. Then
Thank
if
you.
the width
Uh,
should go,
Emmanuel, thank you. Thank you so much. I think we'll go to the next person. I see time is not on our side,
all
but thank
right.
you so much. That is a very, very good presentation. Very nice job. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Nixon and Sombi, you can go next. Yeah, I asked earlier for three representatives. Where were you guys? Huh? You cannot complain now that I did not choose you. I asked for three representatives very, very early in the session. So, yes, Nixon.
Okay. For the project, this is what I came up with.
Okay, this was a group one or
Yeah, we
or
submitted as
individual?
a group and individual, and they pitched mine for the group.
Okay, okay, very nice. Can go
I
ahead.
didn't go too far, but I did
Mm-hmm.
something.
Mm,
So this is the homepage,
mm-hmm.
which showcase my skills and whatever I'm doing. So you can go to about, which describes more about me with all my ages, my contacts, and my certifications. Then I did not place the downloadable resume, but I placed it in their website. Here it is, the resume, which shows I'm a dedicated front-end developer. The summary of me, my LinkedIn, my emails, the education, my education career. Then this other side, we have the professional experience for front-end developer, which I took twice from 2022 and till now, whereby I'm into web development. Yeah, so for currently I have two projects which I was able to engage with, which is my personal portfolio website and the Nyancho Mission SDA website. Then I went down the services which I offer, which is web development, custom web applications, UI and UX design, API integration, branding and integrity. You can go to web development here. So here are the details. Then software development, product management, graphic design, and market design. For the contact section, it's not there because I did not implement the backend section. Then let me go back here. I implemented also the contact section. Okay, here's the contact section. The contact section and my location. Here, but it's not functioning. I just said that I did not implement the backend. Then the testimonials also. And the testimonials. This is what I was able to do for the past 2 weeks. Not go much far, like what I'm seeing here. The pressure
Okay.
is increasing on me.
Thank you. Nice job. Nice job. All the same, nice job. Even though you did not finish, it's still nice effort. Very, very good work.
The
Yeah,
time was so
so
little.
no, no, no. Time was that is a lot of time. Let me tell you, 2 weeks is a lot of time to come up with only a portfolio website, eh? But great work nonetheless, eh? Thank you so much,
Okay,
eh?
okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, yeah, as you have seen, these things are very, very much possible. And let me just put out a disclaimer. No one was prohibited in using AI to help you build your portfolio websites. That was not in the instructions. So if you are saying these are AI generated, no one prohibited anyone from using AI in developing their portfolio websites. Just one thing that I would like to mention, when the instructions say use only this and this, please stick to that because our evaluation criteria is very, very strict. We go by what was instructed. So when it was mentioned only HTML and CSS, I hope you stuck to that because if you introduce something else, a library, a framework, then that automatically disqualifies you because you did not follow instructions. So that is just a disclaimer that I would like to put out there. Who wants to represent the ladies? Because I tried to promote one of you, you have refused. So again, please accept the promotion, Darlene Nyambura, and then we can delve into today's session. JavaScript was not in the instructions, please. It was only HTML and CSS. Okay, so I'll have Darlene present for the ladies and then we will begin our session for today.
Hello, morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me and can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So this is what my portfolio looks like. The hero section, I used CSS key animations for that. And then one is able to change between a persistent dark mode and light mode. So my call to action, I used the view portfolio because this is where my projects are at. And then this is where people can find me, the different links. So when you scroll down, the first thing you see are my projects. When you hover on it, you can see that the images, you're able to see the initial image. And then we have the live demo and the GitHub. So these are the projects that I've worked on currently. And then for the tech stack, I did not see any need of representing myself using the percentages, because how do you know you are this good in JavaScript with this certain percentage? So when you hover on them, the title is able to present the different tech stack and their names. And then also for the interest as well. And then they get to know me. I used my photo because that way I'm able to bond with my clients and they're able to see who they're going to work with. And then the education and certifications, just very brief, because all these things you're going to find them within the CV. And then for my contact page, I used the form spree to be able to contact me, to have connection with my clients. So if a client fills out all these forms, they're able to get a notification up here. So let me just do that. The phone number is optional. Oh. And then message sent successfully. So once I do that, the contact page just clears the contact form. And then now we have the footer. So my project is fully responsive, meaning that you're able to see it in font screen sizes as shown. So I can click there and go to my portfolio. And then I can also download the CV in a blank template, in a blank page, sorry. So even in tablet view, I was able to add a media screen for every screen size. So even within the tablet, you're able to see the whole project. That's what basically looks like.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Darlene, for that presentation. Very, very nice user interface. Great job. Thank you so much. Okay, so as you have seen from your fellow learners, it is very, very much possible. It just takes a little time, dedication, and effort, and you can be able to come up with such designs. There are a lot of inspiration around the internet. You can have a look at something and decide to build on that, modify a few things here and there. And with the advent of artificial intelligence, it becomes much easier for you to create such websites using a little bit of help. So it is very, very much possible. And given the time frame that you guys were given, 2 weeks is a lot of time just to come up with a portfolio website. That is a lot of time. Yeah, so thank you so much for everyone who presented, and all the very best with the evaluation that is currently going on. Yeah, And if you manage to submit a portfolio website, either as a group or as an individual, thank you so much for doing that. Remember, attempting a hackathon is part and parcel of your fulfillment of this particular course. So I hope each and every one of you managed to do so. So we'll delve right into this week's topic. We are in week 5, though we'll be going through week 4 content since we missed a week. And as usual, we will be doing this practically so that you can see how you can achieve that. So week 4 was dedicated to responsive web design and advanced CSS concepts that we thought would be beneficial to you as aspiring web designers so that you can be able to know what goes on in the modern web design circles, the circles, not cycles. The modern web design circles. Yeah, responsive web design is very, very important, very, very important because nowadays access to the internet is via various devices, not only computers and laptops. You have tablets, you have mobile phones with different screen sizes. Therefore, the concept of responsive web design is a very important concept for you as a developer. For you as a developer. So what is it? What is it? Responsive web design is simply a modern approach to web development that simply ensures your websites and web applications look and function well on all devices, from desktops to tablets to smartphones. Every screen size, your website should be able to look and function very, very well so that you do not discriminate against people with certain types of devices. You want to provide the same experience to someone who has a mobile device with a small screen size. You provide the same experience to the same person, to another person with a desktop with a very huge display. And that is what responsive web design is all about. So let us let us just open our Visual Studio Code. We'll be going through this practically and get through some of the concepts that define responsive web design. That is including and not limited to fluid grids, flexible images, media queries. We look at the Flexbox concept and also the CSS grid layout concept. Okay, so please open your Visual Studio Code editors. Please open your Visual Studio Code editors. I'll create a new file here, give it the name index.html. So one of the concepts that is very, very important when it comes to responsive web design is the viewport meta tag. I know you remember what meta tags are used for. We went through that in session 1 and 2, in week 1 and 2 of this particular course. So meta tags just provide information about your website or web application. So one of those meta tags is the viewport. Let me just increase this. One of those is the viewport meta tag. When it comes to concepts revolving around responsive web design. This is a very, very important meta tag. So this meta tag simply tells the browser how to control the page dimensions and scaling. It simply tells the browser how to control the page dimensions and scaling. This is an example of the meta tag, the viewport meta tag. So meta name is viewport. Name is viewport. And for the content, we have width, device width, initial scale 1.0. Usually just define the initial scale. We'll leave the maximum out for now. So with this simple line of code, you're simply informing the browser to control the page's dimension and scaling such that the page dimension will match the device width, and it will always scale to an initial scale of 1. That will be the initial scaling of that page. It will be set to 1. So this is a very, very important line of code when it comes to responsive web design. So that is one of the key concepts, the viewport meta tag, the viewport meta tag. Another concept that we will be going through is fluid layouts, fluid layouts. This one, you simply define containers using relative units of measurements like percentages rather than fixed units of measurement. This will give the container that not option, fluid-like characteristic. Take the scenario where you're pouring water into a container. The water you're pouring into a container, it will take the shape of that container. If it is a round bottle, it will take the shape of the round bottle. If it is a rectangular bottle, it will take the shape of that rectangular bottle. So we are taking that concept of the fluid nature of water to liken that in this particular relation in terms of responsive web design, such that when you are defining a container or a section as fluid in nature, it can take up the space relative to the device display. So in this, we use relative units. And one of the most important relative units is the percentage. Instead of using pixels, we use percentages. So for example, let us say you have a div with a class container. You have a div with a class container. You have a div with a class container. You simply define the width with a relative unit of measurement. That is a percentage with a relative unit of measurement, meaning the container will span the entire width of the display. That is 100%.
Sorry for interrupting. You're not sharing your screen.
Sorry?
You're not sharing the screen.
Oh, my Lord. Sorry about that. I got so caught up with the lesson. Sorry, thank you for that. Where was I? Yeah, fluid layouts, fluid layouts. So with relative units of measurements like the percentage, you can define how a certain element will span either the width or the height sizes of the screen or relative to other elements on your page. So you tend to use percentages rather than fixed units. Like the pixel is something that is fixed. That one is measurable. But with a relative unit, that one is relative to other elements within that particular page. It takes up a percentage of that page. Just like the scenario I've given of pouring water into a bottle or a container, it will take up the space of that container as you pour it, whether it is round, whether it is rectangular, or whatever shape that it is. That is the fluid nature of water. And that is what we are referring to as fluid layouts, fluid layouts. Another concept that we'll be going through is flexible images, flexible images. So number one was viewport. Number two was fluid layouts. Number three is flexible images. Flexible images. And with flexible images, you simply give the image the ability to scale within their containing elements, such that you do not define a fixed size for the image. When the device or when the container changes size, the image also changes size with it. This you can simply achieve that. You can simply achieve that with such a CSS rule. You can simply achieve that with such a CSS rule, defining the maximum width of the image to 100%, and then letting the height automatically scale based on the image. So what this will do, it will retain the aspect ratio of the image such that your image will not look distorted. You do not have to edit it or crop it in order to fit a certain space. You can simply use flexible images concept to resize that image so that it fits to a certain containing element, or it fits to the device width that you are viewing it from. That is concept number 3, flexible images. Concept number 4 is media queries. I'm sure you've heard of this when people were presenting their portfolio projects. So media queries, these ones are this is a concept that will help you apply different styles depending on different screen sizes, resolution, or orientation. So if you are developing for a mobile, if you are developing for tablet, if you are developing for laptop or a desktop, these devices have different screen sizes. They have different screen sizes. And when it comes to the mobile and the tablets, you also introduce something called orientation. Orientation, you either have landscape or portrait view when it comes to orientation. So using media queries, you are able to specify that I want to style a mobile device in this particular way. I want to style a tablet that is in the landscape view in this particular way. Those media queries are what you would use to achieve that. Those media queries are what you would use to achieve that. And we are going to showcase all these practically. Do not worry. We are going to showcase them practically. Just wanted you to get the different concepts before we delve into a practical example. So for our media query, an example would look something like so. An example will look something like this. This would be an example of a media query. So you always begin with the art media keyword, and the next section is what you want to target. What are you targeting? For this one, we are targeting only the screen. And then we have another keyword. This is the and keyword. This is just used for concatenation, for joining two sections of a media query. The next section is what we are, the specific area that we are targeting. Yes, we are targeting the screen, but we are also targeting the width of the screen, So this media query simply says you are targeting the screens with a maximum width of 600 pixels. So if your phone, if your tablet, or if your laptop matches that criteria, that is the maximum width of 600 pixels, then what is contained within the curly braces is what will be applied to that particular device screen. And you can simply apply whatever styling that you like. Whatever styling, you can change images, you can change colors, you can change fonts, and they will only be applied to this particular query. All screens with a maximum width of 600 pixels. So don't worry, we are going to showcase this and you'll get to see how these concepts are applied in responsive web design. So we can go back to our index file. We can go back to our index file. We can go back to our index file. I just wanted to create a very basic web page. Create a very basic web page. Create a very basic web page with a head section and a body section. The head section and a body section. In our head section, we are going to add our meta tag. We are going to add our meta tag for the viewport. Very, very important. When it comes to responsive web design, you cannot fail to have this particular meta tag. This one is like a root element when it comes to viewport, when it comes to responsive web design. This particular line of code, the viewport meta tag, very, very important. Very, very important. So in our body section, let's put a title. For my title, I can have responsive web design. Responsive web design for my title. In your body section, I wanted to have a div. Please also get an image. Please also get an image. So I wanted to have a div and also get an image. Have a div and also get an image. And I think we can use external CSS. We can use the external CSS. So you'll need to create a file called style.css. You need a new file called style.css. You will need a new file called style.css where we will place all our CSS rules. For your div, you can give it a class. You can call it container. Make sure you have an image. Make sure you have an image. Please make sure you have an image. Any image that you have, preferably one on your local machine, or you can fetch an image from the internet. Let me get an image from my local machine. Did not. Just fetch an image from the internet. Can't seem to get an image here. Give your website last. Give your website that you can get free images to use with your in your web development. So I have my image. I have my div container. I have my image. Please make sure you have viewport meta tag, and you have created an external task styling sheet so that we can be using it for our CSS rules. So that we can use it for our CSS rules. So just launch this. Just launch this one. My image is very, very huge. My image is very, very huge. So you should have at least that display with you, an image, a container, and a container. So we'll begin with a fluid layout. Let us showcase a fluid layout. So my div container has the class container. It has the class container. So I'll just go back to my CSS. So for fluid layout, we said you simply define the width to a percentage, a relative unit of measurement. A relative unit of measurement. We can then do margin. margin of 0 and auto. Maybe give this a background color so we can see where our container starts and ends, and maybe just give it a definite height. Let's give it a definite height. It's much more visible. So for a class container, we simply set a width of 80%, a relative width. For the height, I have said something that is more precise. Because I do not have content on the container for now, let me set the height to something more precise that will act as our content. We have a margin of 0 and auto. So 0, we said you move in a clockwise direction starting from the top. So 0 will be set for the top and the bottom. Auto will be set for the left and right. And what this one will do, hopefully, if it works very well, this one will center the container in the middle of the page. And finally, we have a background color of brown so that we can see where our container starts and ends from. So you should have something of this sort. You should have something of this sort. If you, let me reset this to 100. You should have something of this sort if you have followed the CSS rules. I can copy this to the chat box. You should have something of that sort. So if we had content within our container, let me just get this. If we add content within our container and get rid of the height, and that will conform to the sizes that we have defined, the width of 80%, the relative unit of 80% on the width. And to see the fluid nature of this in effect, what you would do on your browser, I want you to right click anywhere on your browser, I want you to right click anywhere on your browser and click on inspect. This will open up the browser developer tools. Now, this is a very important section on your browser when it comes to development, because with it you can access various tools and functionalities that will aid you in your development of web applications and web pages. Very important. So what we are going to showcase on these developer tools today is the views. So on the developer tools that I've opened, there is this icon. It's called the device toolbar. There's that icon. It's called the device toolbar. And what this toolbar does is you can simply You can simply showcase your website on different device width and heights, or device sizes, the screen sizes of different devices. And you can simply do that by either changing the size up here. You can change the size up here. You can even change the orientation. You can even change the orientation. So this is portrait, that is landscape, portrait and landscape, or you can use different devices. You can use different devices. You can use different devices under the dimensions. This is a list of some common devices that you can use to see how your device would look like, how your website will look like on those devices. And of course, you have your different dimensions at the top. So you can change that. You can change that, or just go to responsive and you can change your size as you wish. 300 by say 800, and so on and so forth. So if you can see our div container, it changes. It is fluid in nature. It is fluid in nature in that it is changing, the size is changing relative to the device width as we change the dimensions here. That is the Samsung Galaxy S20. We have an iPad Air, and so on and so forth. So if you note our device, our div container, the size changes relative to the device width that we select. iPad Pro, A51, Samsung Pixel 7. Or if we have a different size that we want to change to, maybe say 1200 by 800. Yeah. And so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. So to get this device toolbar, you right click anywhere on your page and select inspect. Right click anywhere on the page and select inspect. This will launch this particular developer toolbar section with various tools that will aid in your development. But what we are interested in today is the device toolbar. This is what we are interested in today, the device toolbar, because we want to see how does our screen appear in various device screen sizes. So that was it for our fluid layout. We can showcase image flexibility. We can showcase image flexibility by simply using the element selector for our image. Using the element selector for our image, we can set the width to 100% and the height to auto. So this will make the image flexible and it will not go beyond the size of the screen that we have. So save your CSS file, very important. You don't save your changes, they will not appear on the browser. You don't say, listen. You don't save your changes, they will not appear on your browser. So if you note now, our image perfectly fits within our screen. It does not span, 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 it does not s It does not go beyond to the left, to the right, sorry. It does not go beyond to the right. It fits perfectly within our page. It fits perfectly within our page. Maybe we can change the location of this image. Let's change the location of the image. Not here. You can change the location of the image and place it within the div so that you can see it will also conform to the size of the parent element, which is the div container. So save that, go back to my browser. And as you can see, the image spans the size and width of the parent container, which is the div container. And we had set this to occupy an 80% size of the entire screen. 80% size of the entire screen. So having this knowledge of fluid layouts and flexible images, this gives you a very, very good idea on how you can layer your different elements on your web pages and how you can make them flexible and fluid to the device width of the different devices that you will be showcasing your web pages and web applications on. Very, very important piece of knowledge. Very, very important piece of knowledge. Very, very important piece of knowledge. Next, we can showcase a media query. We can showcase a media query. Let's showcase a media query. So I will showcase a media query and then I can invite any questions that you may have. We can showcase a media query. So we've defined a media query as a CSS concept that lets you apply styles based on a device's characteristics. And these characteristics, we've mentioned things like the size, resolution, orientation, and there are so many others that you can use. So these ones are mostly used in responsive design. So for example, if you have a website and you want this particular website to be accessed by people using different screen sizes, and you want a distinction when somebody visits using a mobile device, this is the user interface that they will be presented with. If they're visiting with a laptop, this is the user interface that they will be presented with. You can simply achieve that by using media queries. So media queries just simply helps you make your web pages look, feel, and function the same way across different devices. Across different devices. Even if they are not looking the same way, you can simply achieve a different look by using media queries. So we will use this particular page of ours. We'll use this particular page of ours to showcase the use and functionality of media queries. So we said you begin with the art media. You begin with the art media keyword. Begin with the art media keyword. Sorry. So we want this one to apply to the screen, and we want to, let's do a maximum width of 100 pixels, or what would be a mobile device width? Hundred should be adequate for max width. With 600 pixels, max width 600 pixels. And for this one, I want us to, when the screen size is 600 pixels and below, I want us to change the background color. I want us to change the background color of the body. Let's change the background color of the body. And for our container, we can change the width to 100%. Can change the width to 100% and also change the background color. Right now we have brown. Very the change to be very distinct so that we can see it. Yeah, so this is our media query. For this media query, we are checking the screen size. And we are checking that the screen size does not exceed 600 pixels. So any screen size that is 600 pixels and below, we want to apply the following CSS rules. One, for the body of our page, we want to change the background color to light blue. And light blue is not distinct enough. Let me do gray. Better. We want to change the background color of the body to gray. And for the container, we are going to change the width to 100. We are going to change the width to 100%. The size of the width of the container, our div container, will be 100%. And the background color will change from brown. We currently have it as brown. And that one will change to lime. It will change to lime. So I'm going to save our page, save my CSS page, and head on back to the browser. So that is the default page that we have, as you can see. That is our default page. Now, let us go back to our developer tools. To change this to 500. I'm going to change my size to 500. I hope you've seen the change. Or let me just put it at 600. Put it at the border, the very border. That is our 600 device size at 600 pixels. Device width at 600 pixels, just as we have defined. The background changes to gray. The container spans 100% and its background changes to lime green. If I just add 1 pixel here, then it will revert to the original because 601 is beyond our scope. 601 is beyond our scope, but 600 is well within our scope, and those are the changes we have defined for the size 601. So having this knowledge, it becomes easier for you to craft different designs for different screen sizes. Remember, what is displayed on a mobile will not be the same as what is displayed on a desktop. For the desktop, fonts will be larger, images will be larger, and so on and so forth. For mobile, you have to scale down on the image sizes. You have to scale down on the font sizes, and so on and so forth. So having this knowledge of media queries, you are able to curate different designs based on the different screen sizes and different screen orientation or resolutions. Okay. I hope that one is very, very clear to all of us. So I will welcome your questions regarding those four concepts in responsive web design before we get into the different layouts, that is Flexbox and grid layout. So the four concepts are viewport, meta tag, the fluid layout, flexible images, and media queries. So I will welcome your questions. You can just type them on the chat box kindly. Just type them on the chat box as I upload this to our repository. Twenty 2025. This is week 4. Okay. So let me see, what questions do you have for me? So I'll pause the chat box for a short while as I go through the questions. Otherwise, that is the repository for that first bit of the session. Let me What about text? Remember, you can change anything. You can change anything when it comes to media queries. You can change the font. Anything that is changeable through CSS, you can simply change that when it comes to media queries. And remember, you're not limited. You're only limited by your designs and what it is that you want to achieve. And that is the beauty of design. What is it that you want to achieve? Then you should get a solution to achieve your final design. Text sizing according to the screen size. Yes, it is very, very much possible, Samuel Kim. So it is very, very possible. How about when I have different containers in one large container? You can style all of them differently as long as you identify them differently using either classes or IDs, then you can style them differently. Yeah. The website for downloading images is pexels.com, PEXELELS.com. you should get free images there. Is per object, or is there a way you can use one statement to apply to the whole website page? Yes, you can use one statement to apply to the whole page. Definitely, but remember, page will have different objects, or different elements. So considering the structure and layout of your web pages, then that is how you would be styling them using the different media queries. How did I align my image and the top area? Image is aligned to the center using the image is aligned to the center using not the image, the container. The container is aligned to the center using this line of code. Margin 0 auto. This will align it to the center. Yep. That line of code will align to the center. This line of code will align everything to the center. So Susan is asking, when applying media queries, do you change every element you had designed earlier? Then again, depends on what you want to achieve, Susan. So whatever you want to achieve, that is what you will change. If you need to change a particular element, then that is what you will change it. If you want it to appear differently on a different screen size, then that is the only thing you would change. You do not necessarily have to change everything. You do not necessarily have to change everything. Remember, you are just aiming for a different look or a different feel, or maybe the same look and feel on a device with a smaller or larger screen. So you change whatever you want to change, depending on what you want to achieve. The option for inspect, it is there on every browser, be it Mozilla, be it Chrome, be it, what is this one for Microsoft called? Yeah, that option is there. I am very, very sure it is on every browser. So right click and select inspect. That option is there. It must be there. Any other question? Any other question before we get into Flexbox and grid layouts? Okay, let me see. For these questions, what do we have? So when the image, Kenneth is saying, when the image isn't inside the div container, it spans 100%. But when placed inside the div, it takes the div width and height, even though the code for the image is still 100%. Does this mean some code is placed on a higher hierarchy than others? A very wonderful question, Kenneth. Very, very wonderful question. That's a very nice question. And something maybe I failed to touch base on last week, concerning CSS specificity. That's a very, very nice question, Kenneth. So, first, let me answer your question before going to the hierarchy bit. So the reason why the image conforms to the width of the container is because the image is inside another element. The image is inside another element. So it cannot it cannot outgrow the width of the parent container. It cannot outgrow the width of the parent container. Consider consider a room. Consider a room. If you are fitting things inside a room, you cannot fit things more than the room can occupy, okay? So the size of the div container is only 80% of the device width, okay? So regardless whether the image is 100%, when you place it inside the container, it can only occupy as much as the container allows. Is that clear, Kenneth? It can only occupy as much as the container allows. So whether the image width has been placed as 100%, whether the image width has been placed as 100%, it will not go beyond the size of the parent container. It will not go beyond the size of the parent container. So I hope that one is very, very clear. So at the end of the session, I'll touch a bit on specificity or hierarchy, as Kenneth has called it. It's a very, very interesting concept when it comes to CSS rules. And this one simply defines what takes priority when you're defining your CSS rules. What takes priority? Is it element selectors? Is it class selectors? Is it universal selectors? Or what takes priority? So that is what we refer to as CSS specificity, not hierarchy, specificity. So we'll touch on that a bit at the end of the session. Let me go through the other questions. David Mule is asking, how then should I calculate the image dimensions, for instance, to match the same layout as it appears on a laptop screen? Like on a laptop screen, I have designed an image on left and text on right. Then on phone screen, I want it to appear photo on left and text on the right. Media queries. With media queries, you can simply change the layout using media queries. You can simply change the layout using media queries. You will simply define the layouts differently when you are using media queries. Gladys is asking about a hamburger menu. Yeah, I don't think time will allow us to go into that one right now, Gladys. Manuel is asking, you talked about implementing responsive layout using percentages. How do I choose the right units at every point in time during development? So when it comes to the units of measurement, remember, if you're looking for something precise, then you can stick to pixels, inches, and the likes. But if you are looking for something that will give you a bit of flexibility, if you're looking for something that will give you a bit of flexibility, then you can go into relative units of measurement. Relative units of measurement is the percentage, okay? So percentages will give you flexibility. Pixels will give you something very precise. The size is already defined. But with relative units, this one will take into consideration other elements within your page so that the sizes can be a bit flexible, okay? Question 2. Is there a limit for applying a responsive layout? That one I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. But considering your next phrase, your website is being viewed on a very wide screen like a TV. I'm not so sure if there are limits to responsive designs, but you can go as high as possible, depending on what you are designing for. You can go as high as possible. You can cater for all device screen sizes. That is the beauty of media queries. You can cater for all device screen sizes. During hackathon, I had some issues with significantly reducing the uploaded image size as this was affecting the loading time. Is there a way I can optimize this for faster loading? Always go for PNG images when it comes to images for your web pages. PNG stands for Portable Network Graphic. That is a much more preferred um, type of image to use when you are designing and developing your web pages. Also, you can look at what we refer to as lazy loading. Just type that, lazy loading. You can have a look at that. Go and do more research on that. That one will also enable your website to load faster, in that it will load the content fast and any large images will be loaded a bit later, enabling content to appear very fast on your web pages, and then the images will come in a bit later. What does lang Someone is asking what this one means. This is simply an attribute. This one is for the language. That one's for the language. Nello is asking, will there be any difference if I write height last in the container? No, no, there'll not be any difference. Unlike other languages, CSS does not take a top-down approach. So it is not processed line by line, like other languages. So regardless of where you write something, everything will just be processed at the same time. Okay? Yeah. Good, good, good. So can we look at flex boxes? Can we look at flex boxes? Can we look at flex boxes now? We look at flex boxes. So for this one, for flex boxes, what are we going to do? We can add another div container. Let's add another div container for our flexbox example. Faster definition. Sorry. That we the definition. So flexbox. So the flexbox simply stands for flexible box layout. That is what it stands for. So this is simply a layout model that allows you to easily align, space, and distribute items within a container. With it, you can align, space, and distribute items within a container, even when their different sizes are dynamic, okay? So that is the purpose of the flexible box layout. So the flexible box layout has different properties that we are going to see. The first one is the display. Display. So display looks like that. And this one simply activates Flexbox. That one activates Flexbox. We have flex direction. Just like the name suggests, this one just simply defines the direction of your flexible layout. This one can either be row, we have column, we have row reverse, and we have column reverse. Flex direction. We have justify content. We have another property called justify content. So this one simply aligns content. This one simply aligns content horizontally. So now aligns content horizontally. And then we have align items. This one aligns items vertically. It aligns items vertically. Another common one is flex wrap. So just as the name suggests, this one allows items to wrap to the next line. I know you know what word wrap is. When you're typing on a document and you have a long word at the end of the document and it simply goes to the next line. That is what this particular property does for the flexible box layout. It simply wraps content to the next line if it does not fit in one line. And finally, we have gap. Gap simply provides a space between items. Simply provides a state between items. Yeah, we also have flex grow. This one allows items to grow and take up any available space that is within the flexible box layout. So we are going to showcase some of these properties. So we'll go back to our index file. I want you to create another div container. Excuse me. And And in your div container, I want you to have 3 other divs. I want you to have 3 other divs, and each of them should have a class. The class name should be item. So this one will be 1, 2, and 3. For the first div, for the main parent div, we can have, let's call this flex container. I'll call that flex container. So I need you to have this. This is what we are going to use to showcase our flexible box layout. We have a parent container with the class flex container, and within it we have 3 other divs with the class item. So go back to my CSS file. So begin with the parent. This is flex container. And in the flex container, first, to activate the flexible box layout, you need to have the display property on your list of CSS rules. Display property, yeah? We have justify content. This one I'll put it to center. Align items to the center. Then put a padding of 20 pixels and a height of 100 view height. View height is also another unit of measurement in CSS. I know you are used to pixels. There are so many. We can also do a background color. Can do a background color just to make it distinct. Just to make it distinct so that we can see where the flexible box begins and ends from. So let me go back to my browser, see what I have. Yeah, so that is what I have so far. So that is my container, my new container. And if you can see in the middle, I have my 1, 2, and 3. We want to style those 3 sub containers. So our class is item. Our class is item. We can do a background. This is gray. We can do padding. We can do a padding of 20 pixels and also margin, maybe 10 pixels or around, and set our flex property to 1. Set our flex property to 1. So the flex property 1 simply allows the items to grow and fill the container equally. So each of them will be distributed equally within the parent container. They will be distributed equally within the parent container. So I can save this and then go back to my browser. Save that and then go back to my browser. And there I have my 3 div subcontainers, evenly spaced, equally sized within my flexible container. Evenly spaced and evenly sized within my flexible container. Let me get some content and put into one. We see how it grows. Let me get some content, put into one, see how it grows. Yeah, lorem ipsum is the default content for when you're building websites. Let me just get some lorem ipsum text. Grow based on the contents. That's my browser. So as you can see, the different sub divs, the content will determine the size of the div. The content will determine the size of the div. However, as you can see, the three remain equally spaced and equally sized. They are taking up the equal portions of the main div. They're taking up equal portions of the main div. And that is the work of this particular line, flex one. Flex one property. It allows the items to grow and fill the container equally. To grow and fill the container equally. Maybe you can place some text on the last one. All of this. All right. Let's go back to my browser. And there you have it. A flexible box layout. Flexible box layout. So this particular box layout, this one is one-dimensional in nature. It can only be used in defining one-dimensional layouts. Can be used in defining one-dimensional layouts. So this one is pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward. Rather than having different containers and defining sizes for all those different containers, you can simply use a flexible layout if this is something that you would want to achieve. If this is something that you want to achieve, a one-dimensional layout using the Flexbox layout method in CSS. Just update the repository as you type any questions that you have on the chat box. Let me update this. Uh, Let me share the updated repository. Okay. Um, okay. Okay. So to me, so yeah, using Mac Safari, you don't have the inspect option. For anyone on Mac, you need to enable the developer tools first. You need to enable the developer tools on the Safari browser before you can have the inspect option. Otherwise, you can still just download the Chrome browser or Firefox browser. That one comes it comes with the inspect option on by default. But if you are using Safari on a MacBook, then you need to enable the developer tools first before you can use the inspect, before you can right click and use the inspect option on that particular browser. Stace Keriga is asking, how do I make the images on my website smaller? Resize them. How do you resize images? Resizing images is simply defining the width and the height. You can define the width and the height of the images. Either use a precise measurement like pixels, or you can use the relative unit like percentage. Oh, the definitions for Flexbox. Oh, I can place this on the README. I can place this on the README. Okay. Yeah, place them on the README. What other questions do you have for Flexbox? Please make sure you save your changes, save your changes, save your changes. If your changes are not reflecting, please make sure you have saved them, or make sure you are referencing the correct classes and make sure the classes are correct. Otherwise, you might be referencing something different. How does your Flexbox items have a background color gray? Because I defined a background color gray. Now, but to enable developer tools, you go on to settings on your Safari browser menu. Go to settings and then advanced tab. It should be a checkbox for show developer menu. A tools question. Which one have not answered? Have I not answered? I'm not sure about the town hall session. Yeah. Okay. So can we finish up with the grid layout? Can we finish up with the grid layout before we end this session? Can we finish up with the grid layout before we end the session? Yes, Kenneth, to answer your question, yes. Yeah, the screen size is on the media query. Whatever you apply that, whatever screen size you define is the one that will be applied for the media query, okay? Sizes of the Flexbox are equal, or your concern is the height. The height would not be equal because remember we are making something that is flexible, and it is flexible depending on the content that is placed within it. So height will not be equal. Okay, so can we have a look at CSS grid, the grid layout? So what happens if you are looking for something that is not one-dimensional? You want to head on to multi-dimensional layouts. Then you can use what we refer to as the CSS grid layout. Yes, you can define media queries for different screen on the same CSS file. Yes, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Okay, so CSS, grid layout, the grid layout. Mm. So with the grid layout, this one is a two-dimensional layout system that lets you design both rows and columns easily. So this one is perfectly this one is mostly used for responsive designs. Responsive designs and layouts. So what properties would you come across when you are dealing with the grid layout? The first one is for activating the grid, and that one we use the display property. We use the display property. So this one simply activates the grid layout. Next, we have the grid template columns. Grid template columns. This one defines columns in the grid and their sizes. This one defines columns in the grid and their sizes. We have grid template rows. Grid template rows defines the rows in the grid and their sizes. We also have gap. We also have gap in grid layout. That one is for the spaces between items in a grid. This one can also be referred to as row gap. You can define the row gap or the column gap. All of those are used to define the space. We also have grid template areas. Defines areas in the grid layout or the zones in the grid layout. We also have justify items, same as, oh, not the same as Flexbox. Flexbox will justify content. This one is justify items. This one is used to align items inside the cells. That one is used for to align items inside the cells. So we want to showcase the grid layout. we want to showcase the grid layout. So I'll go back to our CSS file, and not CSS. Let me reduce this. And it was too much. Let's do 50. So we'll do another set of containers for our grid layout to showcase that. Do another set of containers to showcase our grid layout. So this one, class to grid container. Some items. So for this one, five, I can have five. I'll give them each a different class. I'll give them each a different class so that we can distinguish them. Two, three, four, and five. Okay. Can have this. Oh, sorry. For your grid. And then we go back to our CSS. We start with the grid container. Set the display to grid. Set the display to grid. Then we have our grid template areas. So for this one, let me go back here. This will have one for menu. For grid template areas, not columns. And you aim footer. Okay. These are our areas. Grid gap, we have 10 pixels and a padding of 10 pixels. Will be grid area header. Can place a background. Do the same for the other 5 items. So this is 2, 3, 4, and 5. So the second one is the menu. Third one, main. That one is to the right. And the last one is the footer. So this one, just a different color, make it distinct. So we have your header or menu or main or right section and our footer area. Let me save that and head on back to my browser. This one is visible. Box content is ruining things. Let me reduce that. So I hope you can see my grid layout. I hope you can see my grid layout. I hope you can see my grid layout. So I have my header, I have my menu, I have my main section, I have the right section, and I have my footer, all defined using the grid layout concept in CSS by simply defining a few properties. Let me update the repository and then welcome your questions. Welcome your questions. Just a minute. Let me update this. There you have your updated repository. Yeah, so having this knowledge, it will become much easier for you to design and curate custom layouts on your web pages. Look at how the two-dimensional concept is very, very easy for you to create a layout. Very, very easy. You have a header, you have a menu section, you have a main section and the right section. and including a footer for your web page. So having this knowledge, you can create different layouts and different designs depending on what you want to achieve. And remember, these columns can be as many as you wish, depending on what you want to achieve. That one is the main criteria. What is it that you want to achieve? Then you can choose the different layout concepts and apply them to your web pages. Can you use the grid container property also in other? Yes, you can use them in other containers. You can use them in other containers. But I find it preferable to use these concepts using the div container. I think the div container is much more concise and much more accommodating than other containers. I find it to be so. But yes, you can use it in other containers. Media queries are not meant to be, they're not meant to change every element. They're not meant to change every element. Again, I will go back to my main criteria. What is it that you want to achieve? I've just given you a concept. It's not that you're supposed to use it on every single element on your web page. No. What is it that you want to achieve? What is the purpose of you implementing media queries on your web pages? Do you want to change the background? Do you want to change the font size? Do you want to change the images size? And so on and so forth. You do not have to change every single element. You do not have to change every single element. You can simply limit your media query to only those specific elements that you want to change. Be it color, be it font size, be it the image orientation, and so on and so forth. You do not have to change every single thing. Yeah, the recording will be made available at least an hour after this. Yeah, you have to give it at least an hour for rendering. Yeah, so any other question before I end the session? Last week we did not have any class. It was Ramadan. Thank you, Jeff Mutavia. Jeff Mutavia has shared a link to some resources for learning CSS layout. Thank you so much. Yes, always approach a mobile first development. It's very, very mobile first approach when developing for responsive web layouts. Mobile first. So you can always develop for mobile first and then graduate to the larger screen size, because I think mobile tends to be more specific than larger screen sizes. So yeah, mobile first is a very good approach to take when you are designing responsive web pages and layouts. Okay. Okay. So as we have seen, this is very essential in modern web development. Remember, nowadays, everyone has at least a mobile device with them. They access your websites and web pages using mobile devices. It's not only confined to desktops and laptops. And even laptops, we have different screen sizes. So if you are aspiring to become a modern web developer, web designer, then you cannot underscore the importance of responsive web design. It is very essential when it comes to modern web development. So with a very good understanding of some of the concepts that we have introduced, such as media queries, flexible layouts, flexible images, fluid layouts, the Flexbox and the CSS grid, you can create websites that look great and as, um, function great as well across all devices. And as always, practice is key. Practice is key. You can seek inspiration from the internet, see what others are building, try and emulate them, not copy the code. Just get a website, see the design and try and emulate that using your own lines of code. Do not copy them. Just push yourself, challenge yourself to create something similar to what you come across on the internet. Otherwise, if there are no more questions, yeah, the repo is here. The repo is here. If you need the repo, this is session 1 for this session. The recording will be made available an hour after this session. Just give me an hour for the video to complete rendering. Yes, we have another class at 2 p.m. East African time and 6:30 p.m. East African time. You can, if you have some time, you can also join us at those particular times. Otherwise, thank you so much for your time. I hope you got to learn something. As always, do not forget your quizzes and assignments. Very, very important, guys. We've noticed a very, very um, dismal, dismal attendance to your quizzes and assignments. So please, please pull up your socks. You do not want to, I really don't want to see you miss out on your certificates or getting certified because of something as simple as an assignment or a quiz. So very, very important. Please attend to them. And remember, also, these live sessions are also very important. I think you are given I think it was something like a contract that you guys signed when you are applying for this scholarship or when you are accepted. Remember, you're supposed to at least attend 70% of the live session. So your attendance is automatically recorded when you join the live session and when you register and join using the Zoom link on the LMS. So please, 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 very important, very important. Join the sessions, go through your quizzes and assignments. Be active in your peer groups. Be active during the hackathons that we set up. And remember, hackathons, at least two hackathons are compulsory. So if you miss the first one, please make a point of attending to the second hackathon. Very important. Otherwise, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for the wonderful questions. I think I will end the session there and we will be seeing each other next week.